Hey everybody, David with the Wholesaler's Toolbox. We're running down through the Wholesaling University step by step, and we've talked about the seller script and talking to a seller on the phone and finding out about the house, finding out if they're motivated to sell. And that gets us into calculating the after repair value. And this is something that I really suggest you do before you go look at the property, just to make sure that you're close on price. It doesn't have to be, they don't have to give you a wholesale price and say, hey, I'm ready to sell this thing cheap, but you need to make sure that you're in the same ballpark so you can negotiate a good deal. Now on the script, right at the end of the script, and I'll click over to it here, but we talked about asking what they're selling it for, what they're trying to get for the property, what price they would take, and so you need to take that number that they give you and see if you're close or if you're in the same neighborhood. So what we're going to do is just take the address and put it into Google and search for it. Okay, and then it's going to bring up the property on Google, where it's at, where it's located. I'm using the same property that I used on our walkthrough example, a property that one of my investors bought. So you can see that it pulls up, through Zillow, through Realtor.com, Redfin, all the, truly all of them. And really you can click on any of these and use, let's go do Zillow, which I've already done. But you can see that Zillow gives its estimate on the property at $140, almost $141,000 for the property. All right, 3-bedroom, 1-bath property in Allen Park, Michigan. Okay, and it takes data from what's sold in the property and how many bedrooms and how many baths and the square footage and all that, and calculates a number. All right, so, and I was in the mortgage business for years and dealt with a lot of appraisals on properties, and always without fail, you have a loan officer in the business complain about the appraisal come back, what the appraisal came back at. Oh, they didn't take this one into consideration, and they didn't do this and they didn't do that. And it's the same in the wholesaling business. You'll always see somebody saying, oh, Zillow sucks, or Realtor.com is horrible, or whatever, and everybody's got their preference. But honestly, they're all using the same, kind of automated valuation system to come up with these numbers, and you're never going to be exact, okay? Because there is no exact number. It has to do with market fluctuations, what properties are selling at right now, what's been recorded, and all that. So all you're trying to do is get close to a value, okay? With you don't want to short sell yourself and come up with a number that's too little, but you need to look at the properties and be realistic, because that's what your buyer is going to do. If you send this over to an investor, they don't want a number, they're not going to use a number that you've inflated to the very top of the market. They want to do it and be able to sell it, in a reasonable amount of time for a reasonable price, or, they want to make their money too. So anyway, so don't get all hung up on, is it the highest absolute value that I can, get this thing appraised at. Just get a realistic value of what it appraises at. Okay. So anyway, 140,000, 141,000 is what, Zillow's looking at us, for, telling us it's worth. So if you go in here into Zillow and you've pulled up your area where your property's located, you can do a couple of things to make sure that, you're looking at apples to apples on listings. You can go into the listing type, deselect all the for sales, deselect the potential listings, the for rents, and just do recently sold, okay? And pull up recently sold properties on here. Price range you don't have to worry about. We want to do, again, apples to apples, so we'll do 3 bedrooms because that's what my property is. Home type, we're going to get rid of all these other things and just look at houses. All right, go into the more section, You want to do the sold on a comp. You want to look at anything that's sold recently. And so let's do the last 90 days. Well, you know, let's do that for right now. Last 90 days. Okay, bathroom 1+. I think the property that my sample properties just over 1,100 square foot. So let's look at things from 1,100 to 1,250. All right. And I think all the properties in that area are built kind of in the same time frame. Okay, and let's apply those. All right, so we'll zoom in a little bit here. My property actually sets, my sample property sets in this area. It's right about here. So, you know, if you look at the properties that have sold around my subject property, I've got 140,000 that's, you know, that just sold, that's literally blocks away, 139.9. So that's a good comp. It's also looks like a brick bungalow. All right, you've got one at 152 that's also a brick bungalow. All right, looks like it's clean. It's been you know, possibly updated here. We can read the description. Yeah, it doesn't really, it says I have a remodeled kitchen. So, you know, that's a decent comp. 144. Again, brick bungalow. Scroll down. Doesn't tell if it's been remodeled or not, but I would venture to say at that price it has been. So you can see where they're running. So, you know, it gave us a estimate of 141. You can see some properties are selling for a little bit more than that. So you might want to stretch it a little bit and go up to 150. But, you know, on your after repair value, because you can use these comps. But don't get carried away. Just because one's, you know, sold for 175, you know, don't just throw yours up there and say, oh, you know, mine's going to sell what that's sold for. Be realistic. You know, give them an accurate comp on similar houses, same square footage, same you know, number of bedroom, number of bathrooms, you know, and all that. And just because one sold for a lot more, don't assume that yours is going to sell for a lot more. You don't know what kind of level rehab they're going to do. Now, if they go in and put granite countertops in and you know, gut the bathrooms and put in new bathrooms and new trim and new roof and new driveway and new garage and all that, it might sell for a 175. But you're marketing to, you know, you're going to market to a lot of different flippers, you know, a lot of different investors, and they might do different things with it. So don't get carried away on your AVR value or your comp. So that's how you judge it. Okay, so if you're talking on the phone, doing your script, and you know, they say, well, you know, I know my house needs work, you know, I'm willing to take an offer, you know, based on the condition it's in, or, you know, I know other houses around me are selling for 140 or 145, but you know, my house, you know, needs some work or whatever. Then it's a lead, and then you need to make an appointment and go out and take a look at the property. But if they say, you know, I know houses are selling for, you know, 150 to 170 area in the area, so I want that, and I won't take anything less. So if you're not going to give me that, don't come out. Take their advice and don't go out. All right, you need to be realistic and make sure it's a motivated seller before you go out. At least a little bit of a motivation. You know, they might not be sold on letting you have the property for $60,000, but you have to hear it in their voice. You have to know that they realize that the house, you know, isn't you know, top of the market and it needs work, and they're motivated to sell. So that's how you run comps. People will argue with this video and tell you, you know, to get a realtor to run comps for you. You know what? Realtors are commissioned salespeople, and you might talk them into doing comps once or twice for you. But if you're not doing any business, they're just not going to do it every time you call up, unless you have, you're friends with them, or, you're married to them, or something. But, figure out a price, using Zillow or using Realtor. Look at what they're estimating the property at, and trust that value for your wholesale deal. Take a look at the, some comps, but come up with a number yourself, and base your wholesale deal on that. And that's the best advice I can give you. So, all right, that's how you come up with your after repair value. Okay, and then on the next video, I'm going to get into calculating or kind of estimating what the rehab costs are going to be, so you can determine what your price to your investors are going to be. So thanks for watching this video. If you're watching it on YouTube, visit the website, thewholesalerstoolbox.com, and check out Wholesaling University. And we'll talk to you soon.